You still want to bitch about how I fucking need to pay? Why? Because it's 420 and I know about the 6 month you had on the 12-year you were floating from that bullshit effort at a piece of legislation that didn't get passed again. You guys do this shit. And this is why it's not intelligence. And this is why you're not going to get away with saying it's intelligence. And this is why all that shit you did, you try to default on that Clinton era executive order about 25 years on intelligence information that you're trying to get away with just ignoring now that the deadline's come due. See, the deadline has come due. You had to come clean about all the shit you covered up from Whitewater, from the Jennifer Flowers situation, from the Starr report, and how that shit was just part of outlays that were set up during Iran-Contra. On the way to September 11th. He strategically put that 25-year term in there. Why? Well, now we know why. Because he was betting on a bunch of ponies just lining up to go to college. Right? And so now COVID-19 happens to correlate with both the flips on all the shit you guys did when you were in Congress associated with the so-called banking bailout, as well as all the shit that was going to come due from the 25-year term set up when all that stuff got classified. This is why you will get away with saying it's intelligence. It's not. It's organized crime. Period. And you already banked on being able to get away with organized crime yourselves because you knew you were organized crime and you wanted to blame it on fucking Russia and you wanted to blame it on the Ukraine and you wanted to blame it on a bunch of people with different kinds of names to get you insurance. Cover your ass now. And it's not going to work. Why? Because of this. I went to get a job. One of those temp labor agencies. One of the many temp labor agencies right now working an account in my name on PPP. Even though I couldn't work a job, because every time I showed up to do a job, somebody was literally simulating chemical weapons development and distribution. Why? Because you guys made a big old ceremony about playing into it in order to deliver on your mob deals. I've been doing it the whole time I've been in Texas. This will be, quote, this will be the fourth time I am forced to sign an arbitration agreement that is illegal and unconstitutional. I have already submitted to the Northern District of Texas U.S. District Court a filing regarding the constitutionality of new law updates for Texas. There is no option to arbitrate via the electronic interface, i.e., this is being set forth as a bad faith effort at attempting to compel me to waive my federal and state constitutional rights to, among other things, trial by jury. The last requirement to sign acknowledgement of the four-state agreement says, what about this arbitration agreement? I am being extorted to sign this via fear of economic harm and being forced to go for another 6 years without an address which to receive tax documents so as to be able to provide myself with appropriate information on income and taxation, to engage a process for audit verification in order to start, maintain, or grow my own small business. These practices are themselves violations of the law not mentioned herein, March 4th, 2020 at 12:04 p.m. Now this is in connection with a series of notes I took real time while I was doing one of those bullshit online sign-ups for a goddamn temp job. Doesn't even pay minimum wage. And I can't even work the damn job because every time I go on site, people knowingly and willingly engage in unsafe practices. I think they're trying to play some sort of workers' comp scheme. That if they can get somebody within a certain amount of time to get a workplace injury, then they get to get that claim submitted and they get it capped and then nobody protests if the claim is submitted. You get your payout, you shut up, you go home. They keep your name on the list and farm your profile out. But what if you want a real job? This isn't about workers' rights. This is about chemical and biological weapons. Literal chemical and biological weapons. I'm sorry that you expected on March 24th of 2021 to get away with stealing my image and likeness up to and including tampering with government documents, including through the Department of Commerce. So you could create fake profiles of other people that you could sub in for me and just give them a different flag in order to try to clear whatever your foreign bank accounts are. It didn't work. You were busted. You're not going to get away with it. You're not getting 4 fucking 20 either. This is completely reprehensible. You're going to need to get this shit fucking straight. Part of the reason I kept this is because the day I went there, they were running a profile on somebody else I knew who had applied at the same temp agency, just at a different branch in the city. I kept track of the whole thing. I would have looked out for you too. But you don't get the fucking right to take my life and farm it out to all kinds of other people and tell me to just play along until I get something I like. And that's exactly what you're doing now. See, I could play along and pretend to suspend my disbelief. And at some point, that good Russian water will come my way again, and this time I might get to keep it. But nobody told me that that's what you guys were doing when I was in California. And nobody told me that they had set me up and trafficked my ass to California so that I could be disabled with a fraudulent diagnosis so a bunch of other people could hook up Medicare claims in connection with what used to be my life. And nobody told me why they drew me down in Texas and then sent me back to Chicago to hook up all those disgusting, dirty deals you were trying to flip on teenage fucking girls. Because now it makes sense. Now it makes sense why not one fucking man in Chicago acted like a fucking man when I returned and still to this day hasn't. It's unfortunate. You tell your, friend who used to be in finance and then moonlighted as chief of staff for your husband, I'm not fucking interested. Deal's off. It's completely fucking off. And if he doesn't produce that fucking report for that committee, I'm gonna have his entire fucking family indicted, including the family I had that he took from me.